On a cold morning, the city wakes before the sun. Lights shine in small windows. A kettle sings in a kitchen. A worker closes the door softly, pulls a coat tight, and walks into the street. Outside, the air smells of rain, bread, smoke, and early buses. Shoes move on wet stone. A newspaper folds under one arm. Somewhere below the ground, a train is waiting, warm and bright, like a long room moving through the dark. Why do so many cities have trains under the street? Why did people choose to travel below the earth? How did a dark tunnel become a symbol of modern life? Why does the subway feel both ordinary and amazing at the same time? Today, with English Mindcast Daily, we will learn English through a real story. The words will be simple and clear. Listen first, then repeat and shadow when you feel ready. This is the story of the subway, and the story of how cities learned to breathe. Long before the subway, cities were already full of movement. People walked. Horses pulled carts, carriages carried rich families, workers crossed long streets on foot, often in rain, mud, snow, or heat. As cities grew, streets became crowded. More people came to work in factories, shops, offices, and markets. Because more people needed to move, the old streets became too small. So the city began to ask a hard question. Where can all these people go? This question was not only about travel, it was about time. A long trip to work could steal hours from a person's day. It could take away sleep, family meals, and quiet moments at home. That is why transport became a human problem, not only a city problem. Listen to this phrase. I need to get to work, simple words, but behind them is a whole life. Say it with me. I need to get to work in the old city. Getting to work was often slow. Horses filled the streets. Their wheels made noise. Their bodies needed food, water, and rest. Streets could be dirty and difficult. When rain came, roads became heavy with mud, so people looked for new answers. Some cities built trains above the street. These trains ran on high metal tracks. They helped many people travel faster, but they also brought noise, shadow, and smoke over busy roads. Was there another way? Could the train go under the street instead of over it? Could a city hide its movement below the ground and leave the surface for walking, trading, and daily life? At first, the idea sounded strange. A train underground? In a tunnel? With smoke and steam? Many people were afraid. The underground world felt dark and unknown. It was not a place for daily life. It was a place people imagined with worry. But city pressure was strong. Because the streets were crowded, leaders and engineers had to think in new ways. They did not build the subway because it was easy. They built it because the city needed survival. The first great step came in London. London was one of the busiest cities in the world. Its streets were full of workers, horses, carts, and business. The city was powerful, but it was also tired. Engineers cut open streets, built tunnels, and covered them again. This method was rough and difficult. Streets were broken. People complained. Shops suffered. But slowly under the city, a new path appeared. When the first underground railway opened in London in the 19th century, many people were curious. Some were proud. Some were nervous. Steam trains moved through tunnels, carrying passengers under the city streets. It was not clean or quiet. At first there was smoke, there was heat, there was discomfort, but still people came. Why? Because it saved time, because it connected places, because it gave ordinary workers a new power, the power to move across a huge city more easily. This is how a strange idea became a daily habit. Here is the first turning point. The crowded street became a tunnel. A problem became a system. Fear became use, and use became tradition. The early subway was not perfect. It was not the smooth, bright train many people know today. It was noisy, smoky, and sometimes uncomfortable. But it showed something important. A city could have another layer. Life could happen above and below at the same time. This idea changed how people imagined a city. Before, the street was the main river of movement. After the subway, the city had hidden rivers too. Trains could run under homes, offices, markets, and churches. People could cross distance without seeing every street between. And what did this mean for home? It meant some people could live farther away from work. It meant the city could grow outward. It meant new neighborhoods could become possible. Because the subway made distance feel shorter. Repeat after me, the city grew. Again, the city grew. These three words are simple, but they carry a big story. Soon, other cities watched London carefully. They asked, could we do this too? Could our workers travel faster? Could our streets become less crowded? Could this new underground train bring hope to our city? The answer was not the same everywhere. Every city had different soil, money, politics, and needs. Some cities built slowly. Some waited for better technology. Some were not ready, but the idea had already left the station. Then came another important change: electricity. Steam trains underground were difficult because smoke had nowhere to go. Electric trains were different. They did not fill tunnels with the same smoke. They could be cleaner, faster, and easier to use below the street. Because of electricity, the subway could become more comfortable and more modern. This was a bridge moment. The old idea of the train did not disappear. It changed. The power changed. The tunnels improved. The meaning changed too. The subway was no longer only a brave experiment. It became a sign of a new city. And as the trains moved under the streets, people above kept living their small, warm lives. A mother held a child's hand. A baker opened a shop. A student carried books. A tired worker looked at the lights of the platform and waited for the sound of wheels. That sound became part of city life. The low wind in the tunnel, the bright door opening, the soft push of people stepping in. For many riders, the subway was not a wonder. After a few weeks it became normal. But sometimes, normal things carry the deepest meaning. How does a new machine become part of daily tradition? How does a tunnel become a path to school, work, friendship, and home? Why do people stop feeling surprise, even when they are moving under a whole city? As electric subway systems spread, cities began to change around them. Stations became new meeting points. Streets near stations grew busy. Shops opened where people walked in and out each day. Because people moved in new ways, business moved too. The subway did not only connect places, it connected habits. Morning habits, evening habits, weekend habits. A person could live in one area, work in another, visit family in another, and still return home at night. This made the city feel larger and smaller at the same time. In some cities, the subway helped create the modern commute. A commute is the regular trip between home and work. The word may sound simple, but the feeling is big. It is the same train, the same seat if you are lucky, the same station name, the same tired eyes, day after day. Listen to this phrase. This is my stop. Say it with me. This is my stop. For a subway rider, these words can feel like a small bell. They mean, get ready. Move now. Your part of the city is here. But the subway also brought new questions. Who could use it? Who paid for it? Which neighborhoods got stations? Which neighborhoods were left waiting? The story is complex. Many historians note that transport can bring opportunity, but it can also show unfairness. Because a station can bring value, land near it may become more expensive. Because a missing station can leave people far from jobs, it can make daily life harder. So the subway was never only about rails and tunnels. It was also about power, money, and the shape of hope. Still, for many ordinary people, the subway opened doors. It made the city more reachable. A young person could take a train to a school across town. A shop worker could travel before sunrise. A family could visit a park, a market, or a relative without owning a carriage or a car. This is why the subway stayed. Not because it was perfect, it stayed because it was useful. It carried the daily weight of millions of small plans. Work plans, food plans, love plans, home plans. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, other great cities built their own underground or rapid rail systems. Some ran below ground, some ran above ground, some moved between both worlds. Each city shaped the idea in its own way. Here is another turning point. The subway moved from invention to identity. It was no longer only a tool. It became part of a city's face. People could hear the name of a city and imagine its trains, its maps, its crowded platforms, its tiled walls, its public voice saying the next stop. Why do subway maps feel so special? They are not true pictures of the land. They are simple drawings of movement. Lines bend, colors guide us, and station names become small poems of place. A map says, "Do not worry, the city is large, but you can understand it. Repeat after me. I can find my way again. I can find my way." This is more than English practice. It is also what every rider wants to feel. Subway design became a language. Signs had to be clear. Station names had to be easy to see. Doors had to open and close in a rhythm people could learn. Because thousands of strangers were moving together, the system needed shared rules. Stand back. Let people leave first. Move down the car. Hold the rail. Watch the gap. These small actions became subway manners. They were not always followed, of course. People are people. But the idea of shared space became important, and here we find human warmth in a busy place. A stranger gives a seat to an older person. Someone helps a traveler read a map. A parent lifts a child so they can hold the pole. A musician plays softly in a station. In a place built from stone, steel, and electricity, kindness still appears, but the subway could also feel lonely. Many people stood close together, yet said nothing. Faces turned toward books, windows, or later, phones. The train was full, but each person carried a private story. Where were they going? What were they worried about? Who was waiting for them? This quiet mystery is part of subway life. A subway car is like a moving room of hidden stories. One person is going to a first job. One person is coming home from a night shift. One person is carrying flowers. One person is trying not to cry. The train carries all of them without asking questions. Because the subway is public, it belongs to no single person. Because it is shared, it asks people to practice patience. That is not always easy. Delays happen, crowds grow, heat rises. Trains stop, people sigh. So the subway story also includes crisis and repair. Systems became old. Cities faced money problems. Tunnels needed care. Tracks needed work. At times, riders lost trust. A train that is late can change a whole day. How do cities keep an old subway alive? How do they repair history while people still need to ride it every morning? This is one of the great hidden challenges of modern life. Many subway systems were built in layers. A line from one age connects with a line from another age. Old tiles meet new signs. Old tunnels hold new trains. This is another bridge moment. Cities do not erase the past completely. They build beside it, under it, and through it. In this way, the subway becomes a living tradition. Not a tradition like a holiday meal, maybe, but still a tradition. People learn it from daily use. Parents show children how to buy a ticket or tap a card. Friends say, take this line, then change there. Workers know which exit is closest to the office. Say it with me. Take the train home. Again, take the train home. The words are simple. The feeling is old and new at the same time. As cars became common, some people thought the future belonged only to roads. Cars gave freedom to many families. They allowed private travel and new suburbs. But cars also brought traffic, noise, and pollution. But once again, cities had to ask, how can so many people move together? The subway answered in its quiet, steady way. One train could carry many people. One tunnel could move a river of riders. Because space in a city is limited, shared transport remained important. And so, under the bright towers and old streets, the subway kept running. It was not always loved, but it was needed. It was not always beautiful, but sometimes in the light of a station at night, with a train arriving like a warm breath from the dark, it felt almost beautiful. In the modern city, the subway is still changing. Some stations use bright screens. Some trains drive with more computer help. Some systems use cards, phones, or simple taps instead of paper tickets. The old tunnel has learned new habits, but the main promise is still the same. Step down from the street, wait with others, enter the train, move through the city, come back again. This simple rhythm has carried generations. How many goodbyes have happened on subway platforms? How many first days began with a nervous ride? How many tired people looked at their reflection in a dark window and thought about dinner, family, money, or sleep? The subway is a machine, but it touches the soft parts of life. It changes where people can work. It changes who they can meet. It changes how far home feels from the center of town. Because movement changes life, the subway changes life too. In many cities, subway stations are also places of memory. Some have art on the walls. Some have old signs from another age. Some carry the style of the time when they were built. Stone, tile, metal, color, and light all tell a quiet story. A station may look ordinary to a busy rider, but if we slow down, we can see history there. The curve of a tunnel, the design of a lamp, the name of a stop. Each small detail says, people built this so others could move. Listen to this phrase, people built this for us. Say it with me. People built this for us. It is a phrase of gratitude. It reminds us that public things are made by many hands, often over many years. Of course, the modern subway still has problems. Some systems are too crowded. Some need better access for people with disabilities. Some stations need cleaner air, safer platforms, or more careful repair. The work is never finished, but this does not make the story smaller. It makes the story more human. A city is not a perfect machine. It is a living place, full of needs, mistakes, care, and hope. So its subway is living too. In recent years, many cities have looked again at public transport because of traffic and the environment. A subway can help reduce the number of cars on the road. It can give people another choice. It can make daily travel easier for those who do not drive. Why does this matter? Because a city is not only made for speed, it is made for people. A good transport system can give time back to a family. It can help a student reach class. It can help a nurse reach a hospital. It can help an older person stay connected to the world. That is why the subway is more than a train. It is a promise of connection, it says, in its own metal voice. You are not stuck. There is a way through. Repeat after me. There is a way through. Again, softly. There is a way through. This sentence belongs to the subway story, but it also belongs to life. When the street is too crowded, people dig below. When the old answer is not enough, people imagine a new one. When the city grows, people learn to grow with it. This is the deep lesson of the subway. It began as an answer to crowding and delay. It became a tool for workers and families. Then it became part of city identity, part of memory, part of home. And through it all, old customs changed instead of disappearing. The old daily walk to work became a walk to the station. The old street meeting became the platform meeting. The old idea of a train became an electric river under the city. Tradition did not end. It moved underground. What do we feel when we hear a train coming? Maybe nothing special. Maybe we are tired. Maybe we are late. But maybe for one small second we feel the wonder again. A whole train arriving from a dark tunnel, ready to carry us forward. Inside the car, the lights are soft. People hold bags, books, phones, flowers, coffee cups, the doors close. The train begins to move. Above, the city shines with shops, rain, traffic, and windows. Below, another city moves in shadow and light. A child looks at the map and follows the colored line with one finger. A visitor listens carefully for the station name. A worker closes tired eyes for 2 stops. A friend sends a message, "I'm on my way." Those words are simple, but they are full of hope. I'm on my way. Say it with me. I am on my way. This is the heart of the subway. It carries people who are on their way to work, to school, to love, to care, to rest, to home. The subway changed city life because it changed what was possible. It made the large city feel closer. It gave daily movement a shared rhythm. It helped ordinary people cross distance with less fear and more trust. And maybe that is why the subway stayed in our imagination. It is practical, but also poetic. It is dark, but full of light. It is crowded, but filled with private dreams. It is made of steel, but it carries human kindness. Tonight, when you think of a subway, do not think only of noise and tunnels. Think of the first brave idea. Think of the workers who built below the streets. Think of the riders who stepped into a new kind of city. Think of the long river of people, moving together, each one trying to reach a place that matters. The train arrives. The doors open. Warm light spills onto the platform. Someone steps in, someone steps out, and the city, old and new, keeps breathing.